So I was going to experiment. This is, I don't know, I think it's still 3 windings. This is the output. This is the current sensor. That's the current sense input. It's about 50 microseconds. That's about that pulse. This is the voltage back on the collector. Notice the ripple. Now what I was experimenting with was replacing like Eric Dollard's longitudinal transmission thing, LMD. So I have a coil, and then that goes to capacitors, that goes out, and then my output, this output is on this coil. So if I disconnect this coil, then I get just a reasonable output that's just with the capacitors. And if I add this coil, it looks the same way. I don't get any of this ring back that I add from a solenoid coil that's being added. So I replaced the solenoid with this pancake coil, and I get a ringing. Not nearly as significant as the other one, but this has much lower inductance than this. Because this is like 2 inches by 6 inches. So I put the solenoid coil back in. I have a low ringing. I think that's this capacitor. It's not charged. Although I do have 250 volts there. So it turns out I had the coil on the wrong side of the capacitor. So I have really strong ringing with the solenoid. With the pancake coil, I've increased this a step to 100 volts. Pancake coil also rings. This is no coil on the output. It's a nice flat line. So I replaced it with one of these coils, and this is what I get. A much lower voltage, a spike on the front and back. I had the scope in the wrong place before. This is my output now. I actually have quite a bit of ringing, and this probe should be times 10. So that's 50, 100 volts plus and minus. That's a solenoid coil. This is no coil. This is a pancake coil. I have to increase this. So that's 1 volt, 10, 20, 30, 40. So for an LMD transmitter, these look like pancakes. And solenoids generate lots more ringing. Maybe it's the difference between like 6 millihenries to a lot less. Still, it's a lower output. Both windings tied together for higher inductance on the pancake coil. So it's really just a matter of inductance. That's this coil.